everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are brand new around here. My name is Danielle and I love to talk about affordable living and intentional homemaking. And today on the channel, we are going to be going over some baby boy names that I absolutely love, but we will not be using this time around. So if you missed our big announcement last week, we are actually pregnant with our second baby boy, and we are so incredibly excited about it. It's going to be so much fun. They're going to be exactly 2 years apart, and if you missed that video, I will definitely link it below so that you can see all of the fun from our gender reveal party and the announcement that we made. But we have been going over boy and girl names for the past few months now, kind of trying to decipher what it is that we like, what it is that we don't like, and trying to make a list of what we want to use. So I have made a list of 10 baby boy names. Now, the 11th name, which will not be on this list, is most likely the name that we are going to be using. We will definitely be announcing that once our son is born, but we wanted to tell you the other 10 names that I absolutely love, but will not be using this time around, to give you guys some good ideas. Now, I need to preface this by saying that I absolutely love the trend of using last names for first names. If you don't know, my first son's name is Fitzgerald, and I just love that name. I think it's such a handsome, masculine name. We call him Fitz for short, and he's such a sweet little guy, and I love that you could use it as like a fun kind of kiddie, playful name of Fitz when he's younger, or even as an adult. Like Fitz is just like a fun, casual name, but then when he gets into the professional world, he can be Fitzgerald, which is just very, to me, regal and handsome, and I love that name. So all of the names on my list really follow that trend of being kind of like a last name and a first name combination. Now, I do have to say that the majority of the names on this list, my husband did not really like or appreciate, which is the reason why we're not really using them, or they just weren't his favorite. So he did enjoy some of the names on the list, and we just picked the name that we both loved the most and agreed on the most to be our future son's name. So without any further ado, and all that being said, let's get into the names that I love but will not be using this time around. So the very first name that I love is Hendrix. Now, this is not a name that I have heard very often before, but I enjoy just the name in general. I think that it is fun, it's funky, it's definitely after Jimi Hendrix. Our dog is also named after a rock group. His name is Creedence Clearwater, and I just love those kind of more fun names, things that remind you of a nostalgic time period. And I was raised, my dad absolutely loved 60s and 70s rock music. That was his era. He was a big old hippie. He actually went to Woodstock, so he got to see Jimi Hendrix play live, and I just love the idea of kind of having that very fun last name become a first name, because I think it is just, like I said, fun and funky and a good time. So the second name that I really love is Bennett, and this is kind of taking a completely different swing from the first name that I said, but this one is 100% from Pride and Prejudice, the Bennett family. I love old English names. I think that they are beautiful and lovely and have, again, that regalness to them, that it's just really handsome. And then you can call him Ben for short or something along those lines. I just think it is such a sweet name, and I just love the idea of being able to have him have this very handsome, strong family name as his first name. So Bennett is definitely on the top of my list, but again, something I will not be using this time around. The next name on my list is Elias. I heard this on another YouTuber's video that was doing names that they love but would not be using, because I love these types of videos. It's how I've gotten so many great names over the years, is through these videos. I watch all of them, but I love the name Elias because I've always enjoyed the name Eli, and I like to have names that can be great for both making them shorter, have really fun nicknames, and also longer. Again, that's why we have Fitzgerald, Fitz, kind of get that. But I love the name Eli, but to elongate it, it's Elias. And again, such a sweet and handsome name, something that a little boy could really grow into and have as a professional name, as well as a fun kick back around name, Eli. I think it's so sweet. Okay, so this next name, when I said this one, my husband thought I was absolutely crazy, but I have so much meaning attached to this name in like a gazillion different directions. So I really like the name, and it's not something that you hear very often, but I love the name Jethro. Jethro is, like I said, it's very unique. It has so many different meanings to it. The first one being biblical. Jethro was the name of Moses's father-in-law in the Bible, and I really love that. I love having biblical connections to different names. I love that you can call him Jet for short. I think that's so much fun and so handsome. But I also love that it's a band, again, from the 60s and 70s, Jethro Tull. But when I was doing some research on the name itself, Jethro Tull was actually named after a gentleman who was named Jethro Tull. I believe that he lived in the 1800s, and he was a very famous botanist. And my husband and I love plants. We love gardening. We love going to different fun gardens. Like, we love going to this place called Longwood Gardens in Pennsylvania that we absolutely adore. It's where we had our first date. It's where we got engaged. It actually has a lot of meaning to me. So I love the idea of the name Jethro because, again, Jethro, and then we call him Jet. And then it also has all these connective meanings of all the different things that I love, but my husband still thought I was crazy, so we will not be using that name, even though I think it is so adorable. All right, the next name on my list is Hastings. Hastings I find to be very much like Bennett. It is just that kind of old world charm, beautiful name that is just so handsome and can grow along with him, as it's not just a cute kid name, but it also is a great gentleman's name when he becomes a older boy, or an older man, I should say. And I just love that kind of more British old world charm that Hastings sort of brings to the table. So I absolutely love that name. I think it's so handsome. All right, so for my next name, this one actually was a top contender for both myself and my husband, for both our first son and now our second son. If not for a first name, then we definitely have talked about it for a middle name. Unfortunately, with the name that we picked out for this coming baby, it wouldn't match as well as it would have with Fitzgerald, so we probably won't be using it as a middle name either, but it's a name we both really loved, and that is Winston. And it's 100% named after Winston Churchill. We love iconic historical figures. We enjoy just history in general. Both of us, we have a lot of history books. We love to read them. Both of our grandfathers are really big history people. Josh's grandfather gave him a bunch of Winston Churchill books recently, and we just love having that very special sentimental name being connected to a very powerful figure. So we had talked about Fitzgerald Winston. That is not his name, but we did have that on our list last time, and again it made it to our list this time, and unfortunately we won't be using it either, but I still really love the name. I think it is, like I said, a very strong name and brings power to the young boy and then soon to be man that our baby would have been. So the next name that I super love is kind of more of a country name, and aside from like old rock music, really love country music, and I think today's country music has a very similar feel to older rock music, which is why I still like it. It's got like a really nice vibe to it, but that is the name Walker. I just really enjoy that name. I think that it is, again, funky and fun and different and has sort of an old country feel to it, and I love that. Again, it is a strong name, it's a handsome name, and it's something that a young boy could really grow into. So the next boy name that I really enjoy is Harrison, and this is also an old historical, historical figure, a real historical person, and that is President Harrison. He was president in the late 1800s. He's actually the shortest term president of our country's history because he ended up getting sick just, I think, like 30 or 60 days after he took office. So he's our shortest living president. But I love the name. I think, again, it's very handsome and uplifting. And Harrison himself was somebody that really came out of, sort of a lower class, Southern sort of feel for his life, and was really able to make something great of himself. And I think that when you pick a name for your kids, having something that is something for them to almost aspire to. I know that was actually a big biblical principle when you used to name your kids in the Old Testament and New Testament, was to name them after something that they aspired to. So a lot of those old biblical names have great aspirational meanings to them. My name is Danielle, which is a derivative of Daniel, and Daniel means God is my judge. And I just love being able to have those, like I said, aspirational values connected to a name. So somebody that just worked hard and did everything that they could to become the President of the United States, I think is such a beautiful aspiration. We always joke around that one of our kids is going to be President of the United States one day. So I just love having that ability to really inspire them to live up to a name. So Harrison is such a fun name that I think that a little boy could have and then, go on to be President of the United States one day. So the next name that I chose for this list is Hayes. Hayes is also a president from our country. And again, for the same reason that I love Harrison, I love Hayes. It's something that your son can be inspired to really grow and become this strong person in their life. And I think that Hayes is such a fun last name. Harrison and Hayes were also on my husband's list of names that he did approve that we talked about. Harrison more than Hayes, but he definitely enjoyed both names for the exact reason that I'm saying, is that we just love those strong figures in history and want to inspire our sons to be just as strong men in their lives as well, and to really go after their goals and dreams in life. So that is why I love Hayes, because it's just another aspirational, inspirational name for a little boy to have. And then my very last name that I love actually kind of goes into country music / also Christian music, because this is a name that two different musical artists share, but that is Rhett. I just think it's such a handsome name, and it is such a fun name for a kid to have. As you can tell, I have basically either historical figures or musical figures on my list of names, because I find them to be so fun, and music is a huge part of our family, history is a huge part of our family. So those are the types of names that really inspired me, and Rhett is something that I just think is newer, it's fun, it's funky, and it's something that, a little boy could really enjoy and grow into throughout his life. So those are all of the names that I absolutely love so much, my whole list, but will not be using this time around in pregnancy. I keep saying this time around. I don't know if we're gonna have any more kids, but you just never know. We're kind of like, whatever God has for our lives, we'll go for that. But for now, you know, we're happy that we're gonna have 2 sweet little boys. And I hope some of these names inspired you. If you're looking for a name, if you're somebody who also enjoys last names as first names, this is a great list of different last names that I think are just so fun and really can have a fun impact on a little boy. I like names that are not super trendy and kind of like every other name. Like the first thing I said to my husband was, I don't want to have any 80s names, right? 80s names are like the names that when you walked into class as a school kid, every third person in the room had those same like 5 names. So I wanted to do something a little bit more fun, funky, something that helped our kids to stand out. So I really hope that that's exactly what happens with our boys' names one day. But again, I'm rambling. I'm rambling a little bit. But I really hope that you like this list. I hope that it inspired you and that it gave you some really good ideas if you also love that trend of, you know, last names as first names for little boys, which I absolutely love. I think is so sweet. I hope that this really did help give you some great ideas. So if you are brand new around here and you love watching different content like this, I try to put out 2 videos a week, again, about affordable living and intentional homemaking. I love being very intentional with how we create our home, how we cook, how we take care of our space, how we watch our kids grow. And if that's the type of content you enjoy to watch, please subscribe because we love having new faces around here. And leave a comment down below if you have any names that you really enjoy that I did not put on the list that you think are also just as fun. I love hearing other people's thoughts and opinions about names, so that would be amazing. And give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. And I am so grateful that you stopped by the channel today. I hope to see you in a couple of days. Have a wonderful week. Bye, friends.